All right, so how you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just preparing for a show next week and I'm chilling. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. I am not preparing for a show, but I'm good. Um, yeah, it's been a hectic month or so, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Honestly, we've done so much with our release already for both Circles and the sped up version that we
Yes,
now have out,
that
which
is
is really
just come
cool.
out, which we haven't even announced yet. I think
I
we can
know.
announce it to everyone as we release this.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%. That's a good
yeah.
idea.
All right. So I'm thinking for now, how about we start talking about how did we even meet in the first place? Because I don't remember all the details, but perhaps you do.
Oh
What do
God.
you think?
Oh God. That was so long ago.
Yeah,
Okay,
feels
I
like
feel like
forever.
do you remember if it was in the pandemic?
Yes, it was like at
Okay,
the
it was
start
in
of
the
it.
pandemic. Okay,
Yeah.
that was when I began being chronically online. Just kidding, I'm always chronically online. But anyways, at that moment, I had a friend. We have a mutual friend who was doing the artist thing for a long time. She's someone that like I knew through Brampton artist spaces. So for those of you who don't know, Brampton is like a suburb of Toronto and yeah, it's part of the GTA or Greater Toronto area. But I'd heard about her from then and then over the years I'd met this artist through like local events in the city. She was like DJing, doing all this stuff, and then through her promos, like one of the songs she released was with you. You produced it, and at the time, like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I had a song out yet or if I was about to, but I was like looking for producers. And like I didn't know, like I think I didn't really realize that you were an artist as well. I thought
Mhm.
like because I just saw you as a producer for that song, but it didn't fully click. But then I remember I heard the song. I'm like, oh wait, is that the same person? Anyways, I think I hit you up then, maybe to work together. I actually don't remember, but like,
Me
that's all
neither.
I remember.
Yeah. I
What do you
remember
remember?
though. I remember that you had one song. I think it was the first one you have on
Okay,
Spotify. Yeah. And I was like, okay,
okay,
this is cool. But we didn't work together until like 2 years later or something.
that's true. No, we
Yeah.
didn't. So then maybe I didn't hit you up to work. Did we just start randomly
I think
talking
it was
about
just like,
stuff?
hey, we were like, what's up, right? But this
Yeah.
see, this is one thing I think that I like about like our small community in Toronto, right? Is that we talk a lot about how sometimes people are a bit cliquey and kind of a bit
Yeah,
strange sometimes, but there are also a lot of us, right, who we just like, we hear something we like and then we're like, hey, what's up, right? And we just make the connection.
that's so
And
true.
I think that was something really cool, right? That happened here.
That's so true, and also, like, I feel like because we have so many mutuals and stuff, there's always a lot to talk about, because
Yes.
Toronto artist community, entertainment communities are very small. Everyone tends to know somebody who knows somebody. It's very, like,
Yeah.
few degrees of separation. So I feel like that helps a lot, and then we already had a ton of things to talk about, and I feel like just since then, we were just talking about music and the industry and, like, especially the Canadian music industry, which operates a little bit differently from the American music
Very differently.
industry. Very
Yeah.
differently. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Interesting. Okay. So fast forward to, I guess, 2 or 3 years, I think 2 years
Mhm.
later, we worked on our first track called Compromise. A lot of people hearing Circles now may not know that we did have a song before, right?
Yes.
So that's for people who don't know, how would you describe Compromise?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, that's a hard question.
Yeah,
It's
I
kinda
know.
like
That's why
I
I
like
asked you instead of asking myself.
Oh my gosh. So Compromise, it was one of those pop R&B duets, I feel that was really similar to when Summer Walker and Drake did that song that was really, really popular. Not me forgetting the name of the song.
Yeah.
Um,
I know what you're
uh,
talking about though. Yeah.
Girls Need Love.
Yes,
Oh my
that's the
gosh,
one.
Girls Need Love, the remix with Drake,
Yeah.
that one. So that was, like, super popular at that time, and what was it? Like, before the pandemic, to be honest, like, right before the pandemic hit, it was hella popular,
Yeah, around that time.
and I feel like going into it, I was hearing more duets like that, and so I'd say Compromise was kinda similar, but what was interesting was that I think it was really a precursor to Circles because we did talk about our anxiety too, like, the 2 other
Yeah.
ends of a
Oh my God.
relationship, and
Yeah.
isn't that crazy? How would you
Yeah.
describe it? How would you describe
Yeah.
the song Compromise? Like
I mean, same as you, like definitely that pop R&B vibe. For everyone listening who may not know, now you're about to know. A lot of the time when we make music, we have something called reference songs. That is not
mhm.
a song you're trying to copy, but something whose style you're kind of going for. It's like an inspiration, right? And so my reference songs, a lot of people are going to be upset when I say this, but it was actually an Ariana Grande track. It was Positions. You know that song? Yeah.
Yes!
So the beats, because
Yes!
has that guitar,
Yes, 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 yes,
and it's
yes.
like a bit like that. So that was kind
Oh
of my reference.
my
Yeah,
god!
when I made that beat,
Wait,
that's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I keep it. I
I
keep it
actually had no
secret.
idea.
Yeah, but
That's
that
so
was the
funny.
reference. So it was that,
Cool.
and I think another thing too that I mentioned about this song that I found really exciting, and this is another fun fact for a lot of people who were discovering about the music industry is, as artists, right? We write our music, but a lot of time, I think now we're at a space where we're happy to ask for help from some friends, right?
Yes,
And so
100%.
we have a few co-writers on this track. I know Kara contributed a little bit. I know
Yes,
Shepard
yes.
contributed a little bit. And then we have Tony. Tony New. Shout out to
Tony!
Tony. He's amazing. Yeah, yeah. He did some ad libs too,
Yes.
actually. He did some ad libs as well.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Shout out to
yes,
Tony
yes.
because he's very talented. So yes, and that brings me to exactly having a community of friends and just being able to like talk about song splits. So if people don't know, song splits are when basically every song's worth 100%, right? And then when it comes to dividing up the money, you have to actually agree with the people you're working
Mhm.
with as to how much ownership percentage of a song each person has, right? And so
Mhm.
when you're working with new people who you don't know, sometimes it's a kind of that discussion's awkward, right? But when you're at a point where you're like working with your friends, it's so nice, right? Because it's like all
Yeah.
based on respect and stuff. What's your experience with splits?
You know what? Actually, I had a slightly different experience. I know, like, it's so interesting that you're saying, "Oh, it's so nice to, like, do it with friends because it's easier to have those conversations," but actually in my past experience, I found it when I was younger and newer to the music business side of things, it was actually hard to have those conversations because you all kind of felt like, especially being in a band. I used to be in a metal band for a long time ago when I was in uni, for 4 years. And like when we were jamming, we come together and we're just creating a song. Like it's really just about creating a song, which we all feel like we're equally contributing, right? But then when it came down to it, like something that had happened to me was that even though we had this assumption that we were all equally contributing to it, when whoever it was dealing with the legal aspect of it and putting down the actual splits, some of us didn't get recognized for our contributions. And I
No.
don't, yeah, and
Uh,
it really sucked. And it's like, I don't even think, honestly, I don't even think in the time they were really thinking about it that deeply. Like, obviously,
mhm,
it caused me a lot of pain when it happened to me, but
yeah,
like at the time, like I don't even think they were thinking of it like that. They were just like, well, I did this much and they did this much. It's all about perception. And but this is why I really think that um having that perception going into it is one thing, but you need to actually talk about it. And sometimes it's
yeah,
uncomfortable to be like, hey, let's be so real. Like, this is how much you contributed. Is this okay with you? Like, can we agree that this is what your contribution is?
yeah,
And those were not conversations that happened when I was jamming with friends because it was so fluid. It was about the art. You know what I mean?
yes, yeah,
Like don't get me wrong, I love sessions like that, but you also got to bring the business into it right at the beginning
yeah,
and kind of get that out of the way because it can get a little muddy and confusing. And you know, it sucks to lose friends over stuff like that. I did, you know, when me and my band we ended up splitting up, like that was a big part of why, you know, we didn't stay in touch and didn't stay friends because it ended up being a hurtful situation for many people involved. But yeah, so I had a different experience. Sometimes with new people, I
yeah,
feel like, okay, it's business. You know what I mean? Like let's get business out of the way because this is business. It's very, you know,
yes,
on the table. But you are right that like now that I have more music business savvy friends, I feel like it's a lot easier to have those conversations and there's mutual respect and I don't feel like someone is trying to be like, "Oh, I did this much more than you."
yes,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's like different. So yeah, that's just my little anecdote about
yeah.
the split conversations, having them early and all.
But you know what? I also think part of that, like we're saying here, is
Mm,
it's also good to build a relationship with other music people before even working together, right? And I think that's what
totally.
made it so easy for us to do circles is that we, at that point, we've known each other for
Yes.
like 4 years or something, and we'd also worked together before. So it makes it so easy, right? Whereas, like, honestly, doing something like this with, let's say, a brand new person I just met, I don't think
That's true.
I could have done
No,
that.
that's true.
Would have been
As
weird. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
difficult. Yeah.
it's
So,
difficult. And also considering like the content that we're talking about in these songs, sometimes they're so vulnerable, they're so
yeah.
personal. Like you can't always open up to everybody that easily, right? Like it's not like I don't know, it's not just like, "Oh, here's my whole life
Yeah.
story." I mean,
Yeah.
it's just hard to do that. So,
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I think that made it
exactly.
really easy for us to
Yeah,
transition.
it did. Okay, now moving on, since we're talking about circles, let's talk about some of the influences. So you just mentioned that you were a part of your metal
Mhm.
band. So maybe you start with your influences. What was kind of
Uh,
yeah, what was your
yeah,
first taste
okay.
for that?
This is so interesting because I'm excited to hear your influences too, because
Yeah.
I feel like when we both met, we were doing like R&B pop for the
Yeah.
most part, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to like think about how we've evolved. But my gateway, okay, there's a few gateways. There was 13 years old. Okay, it was 2005, American Idiot, Green Day. That,
Okay.
oh my God, that album was my entire life. I was listened to it on repeat every single day. Like, I got my first cell phone and I had my first, like, album that I purchased with my money. It was that album, and it was also Pon de Replay, Rihanna era, Sun
Okay.
Music from the Sun. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, I had these 2 extremes, okay?
Yeah.
And then going into high school, it went from Green Day to My Chemical Romance, and then I discovered Evanescence because Evanescence was always on the radio, and I worshipped Amy Lee. Like, worshipped, like, I wanted to be her. Like, I want everything,
Mm.
my style, the way I sing, like, everything. I really looked up to Amy Lee from Evanescence so much, and I'd say that Amy Lee era and the female fronted metal band thing got me into a type of metal known as symphonic metal, which was basically opera vocals over heavy metal with classical elements. But at the same time, there was this punk side of me where through My Chemical Romance and Green Day, I also discovered the likes of like um what do you call it? Like Alice in Chains, like a little bit more grungy, and then
Mm.
other types of like pop punk was popping back then. Pop punk was popping back then. There there was Avril Lavigne, there was Fifi Dobson,
Yes.
iconic Canadian. Like I had actually I think I had Fifi Dobson's album even before all of this, before Green Day, with
Wow.
this like Teletoon like compilation music album. Teletoon was like a TV channel in Canada
Mm.
that I used to watch religiously, and they had this little album, and Bye Bye Boyfriend by Fifi Dobson was one of my most repeated, most played songs as a kid. And
Wow.
I'd say that was kind of like my punk era, the Y2K 2000s emo girl in full. Yeah. How about you? What was it for you? Like, how did you embrace that?
Yeah, so for me it's strange because I grew up primarily listening to hip hop. Like, I mean, when I was
Mhm.
young, like I'm talking, up until I was like maybe 15 actually, it's like 95% hip hop. And it's really like, some of the 90s hip hop, especially like the old Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac, all these guys. Then early 2000s hip hop too, right? I loved like 50 Cent and Eminem and people like that. And then Kendrick eventually. Although now can't talk about Kendrick since we're from Toronto anymore. Haha, kidding. But so I was listening to a lot of that. But I always kind of in the back of my head, I did have an appreciation for some of the rock. And I think that the very first time that I was like, oh my God, this is cool, was a epic crossover moment, which many of us remember, which was Jay-Z and Linkin Park
Oh
when they
my
did,
God, that was the
bro,
best. That
that
was the
whole thing they did. That was actually probably my first time hearing like rock music ever, to be
yeah.
honest with you, which
Oh
I know it sounds
wow.
funny, but yeah, because remember, I grew up in Switzerland. Like
Uh-huh.
people listen to
Yeah.
like techno and stuff. Like there wasn't
Yeah. Yeah.
that much rock over. I mean, there is, but it's not, wasn't the main thing.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing that and being like, wow, what is this? Like I remember the Linkin Park guy like just, yeah, kind of like
Yes,
yelling. It was my first
sir.
time
Peninsula.
hearing a guy like kind of like
I
screaming.
freak
Yeah, yeah, that.
oh
And
no.
and I was like, this is really interesting. And I kind of put it in a corner of my head, never thought about it again, but it was kind of like, oh, this is cool. And then fast forwards to obviously I came to Canada, I started listening to way more pop, and then my musical taste and even just what music I was doing changed. Like I've been doing a lot of things. But more recently, I think it was maybe
That's so
2018 or
interesting.
2019, I
Yeah.
heard one song. It was Youngblood and Halsey called 11 Minutes. Bro,
Oh
that
my
song single-handedly is
god.
what got me interested in this whole
Oh,
punk
that's
thing,
so
basically. That song's
cool.
amazing, right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was one of my reference songs when I started the Circles beat. It was that.
yeah.
Because I was like, this is a duet, right? They're both
Yeah.
killing it. The drums are hitting so hard that was crazy. So I love that. And now a lot of people are gonna laugh, but hey, this is the point of this discussion is gonna be
Yeah,
honest and
yeah,
open up your heart. MGK's album, The Tickets to My Downfall. No, I know. I had someone like a friend of mine who was like, how could you like this guy? His music is
That's
so
so
corny.
funny.
But I'm sorry, I actually love that album. I think it's really good.
Few
And
people love corny music.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's just like, it's like
but
a
also
thing.
produced by I feel bad. I just forgot his name. Shoot, what's the guy, the drum guy that everyone loves, Travis Barker, right? He produced like
Mm,
that album, and he's a legend. I mean, come on, right?
he's a
So
legend.
so I actually really
Sounds
like
good.
that album, and so for everyone listening, right? You guys know I love pop music. I love catchy melodies and stuff. And that album was like an amazing mix, I thought, of like that punk kind
Mm,
of sound, but with really catchy melodies,
Yeah.
regardless of what we think of MGK and stuff like that, right? I'm not gonna get into that. So that was kind of my, yeah, my influence going into that.
That's so interesting because like you know, a lot of the metal bands that I listened to in that time, yes, we had the American and Canadian like pop punk fusion bands from that era, but like I also listened when I would say I was listening to metal, a lot of these bands came from Europe. And
Mm,
one time like I even open for a Finnish metal band known as Sonata Arctica, which are like really OG in that space. Like probably
yeah.
no one has ever heard of them, but like they're really dope. And that was a very highlight of my like my uni music metal career. But like just it's so interesting because it's like surprising, like growing up in Switzerland, but you never heard like that type of rock music until
Never.
that moment. And you know,
Absolutely never. Yeah.
it is crazy because like I listened to maybe like R&B growing up, so as well. So I had the punk stuff, and then I told you like Music of the Sun, Rihanna was one of my first albums. But
Mhm.
before that, I was a huge Destiny's Child fan. I was a huge
Oh yeah,
Sierra fan.
legends. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
absolutely
Sierra.
legends.
Yo, early 2000s
Sierra, oh,
Sierra was like
so
so good.
good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, even Black Eyed Peas and stuff.
Yes.
But like even though I listened to more like this pop and R&B stuff, like I don't think I really like heard hip hop like that until
Mhm.
that song. So it's kind of crazy,
Wow.
like
So it's
or
like
like
a
I
double crossover. Yeah.
yeah, like kind
Crazy.
of like obviously there was like Eminem and stuff like that, but it's not
Yeah.
the same. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it's like Jay-Z is it's Jay-Z, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like my first real appreciation moment for that coming out of both like the R&B pop and then like the punk metal and pop punk,
Hmm.
that moment, that same moment.
Wow. That's
So
amazing. And
legend.
yo, just for everyone listening right now, we didn't rehearse this. Like we didn't know, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, you
I
did.
don't think you knew that about me. So that's actually
That's
hilarious.
actually
That's
crazy. That's
amazing.
so crazy.
Wow. Okay. So those were our influences. I guess now let's talk about the process of making the song itself and all
Mm,
the parts that came afterwards, because I suspect a lot of people don't realize how much goes into this entire thing, right? We're talking about hours and hours, like a mountain of work for one song. Imagine
totally.
how what an
Totally.
album is like. So I guess from your perspective, let's look at how was that experience, and I guess some of the first
Yeah.
steps.
I don't know why I'm blanking, but okay, I actually want to compare it to Compromise for this because we had two
Okay.
very different
Oh
experiences
yeah,
in
compromise
making
was
both.
so easy, but just so
Yeah.
quick. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I would say like first of all, Compromise we made in the pandemic. We were in lockdown, so like
Yeah.
I hadn't even met you in real life at
True.
that
Yeah.
point. Like I
Yeah.
literally
Oh my
had
God, we met
like
after that.
we
Yes.
met way after that, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So, I remember I had my first little home studio setup. Like I had a little, I don't know, Rode mic, like a Rode NT1, I think. And I don't think I had purchased my Apollo Twin yet. I think I actually no, maybe I did. Maybe it was right around the time that I did, possibly. But I recorded it in my bedroom. You know, I didn't even
Yeah.
have these acoustic panels that I built or anything. I literally had like a little boxy reflection filter in my bedroom, no other sound treatment, okay? Like
Yeah.
I was very much new to the home recording process. And I did it and like you know, Couch sends me this mix and I'm like, wait, that sounds so good. What the heck? And I loved how it sounded. And so it was so
Yeah.
easy. It was very like, you know, it was very organic, very like fast and just over the internet, da 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 da,
Yeah. It
send,
was
done,
so quick, right?
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
and even the content, like, because of lockdown, we didn't have options to, like, meet up and do
Hmm.
anything cool. I mean, not
Yeah.
do anything cool, but, like, do
No, I know what you
anything
mean. Yeah. Yeah.
to that extent.
You're
So we
calling
were
my
just
stuff
like
not cool. No, I'm kidding.
oh,
Yeah. No, I
so
know what you mean.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we had, like, Fiverr or something, or just, like,
Yeah.
somebody just, like, make graphics.
Yeah. Literally.
Ma
Like
was it?
yes. So I had the artwork. Oh damn. I think. Oh, it was Basics who did the artwork. He's amazing, by the way. Shout out
Oh, it
Basics.
was Basics.
He
Yes, the
did that, but
artwork.
then the Fiverr part was the lyric video.
The
So what I
lyric
did,
video.
I think I asked him for like the background part of the cover, and then I sent it to
Yeah,
the Fiverr person, and I said, make me a lyric with like this fonts that I want, and then they just basically did that. So yeah,
exactly.
very simple
Exactly.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was before AI auto captions, I just wanna say.
Oh
So
yeah.
lyric
Oh my
videos
God.
were a whole different thing back,
Yes.
okay?
A whole
Okay,
lot
it
of
was
work.
before. It
Yeah.
was a thing. But what's so interesting comparing to that, so with Circles, it was like I think okay, I think you sent me the song, but, like, I think we met up. So we met
Yeah.
up in the studio. I went
Yep.
to Cashflow's studio, and, basically, we kinda banged it out fast, though, in the actual session. Like,
Yes.
it was sorta like we were sitting there. I thought I was tracking a demo, like, you just handed me the mic, and I fully thought
Oh
it was a
yeah.
demo, and
Yeah.
I just sang it. I was like, "Oh, like this." Then I just did it a couple times. It wasn't even
Yeah.
like I didn't even like re-record it like 30 takes, whatever.
But it
I
was
don't know.
really
Like,
good.
but
Yeah.
it worked out, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh no, we're keeping that, we're using that." And
Yeah.
Catful, you're so good at this, by the way.
Ah,
Like, you're just like,
thank you.
"No, it's good. Why do you want to change it? No, we're keeping it." Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a sign of a good producer. You know, they know when you sound good and they know when to make you stop overthinking. So
Appreciate it.
that
Yeah.
was an awesome moment. And the
Yeah.
way we just organically came up with the lyrics, like it was like
Yes.
you had a lot of your parts like done already. It was just that
No,
verse
but
that
they
was
were really
missing, right?
bad. So you
Oh
helped
yeah,
me
you
make it
rewrote.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So okay,
you
let me
yeah,
speak
go
on
go
this
go.
for a second. But
Yes.
like and this is something where you're so good, right? Is that I had something again. It was trash, and you came in with like some ideas, and you kind of started singing some things, and I was like, whoa, wait a second, we should do this instead, right? So and this, by the way, it really speaks again to the I think the benefits of collaboration, where
Yes.
a lot and also it's like because a lot of time when you collaborate, it's not necessarily like you go from one idea and then boom, you have the final, right? But rather it's like an exploration process where it's like you have
Mm,
one idea, you know that it's interesting, but it's not really there yet. But then it's
that's
like
so
playing ping
true.
pong. It's like I ping the idea to you, then you pong back like another idea that's also not what we want, and then I ping it back, and then at some point we reach the end point, which is really
Yes.
good, which is not something that you by yourself or me by myself would have necessarily come up with. And that
Yeah,
I think is really what happened in that writing
I
session, which made it
agree.
so good. Like that part, like my favorite part of the song was the and I told myself it's not
Oh,
that like
yeah.
that. I remember when you sang
Oh
that
my
part
god.
like during the writing, right? And we were like, "Whoa, what's this? This is cool." So stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
It's
god, do you remember the part we were trying to think of how to end it? And I'm like,
yeah,
can't be sane with you. I'm insane with
yes,
you. I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like I
yeah,
just said it. I'm like, does that even make sense? I'm
yes.
like,
And I was like,
can't be
"Hell
sane
yeah,
with
let's
you're
go."
like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, where are you sure?
yes,
I'm like, am I repeating it too? And then we were just talking. We are like, wait,
yeah,
this works. And then now that's yeah, we've been using that as like one of the main hooks on all of our like
yeah.
marketing and stuff.
On
That's
on
actually so
DistroKid,
funny.
I made this. You know when it. So for people who don't know, DistroKid is our distributor, right? And you can actually select a moment like this, like the when the good part starts, and then when the song goes on Instagram, right? As a default, it'll start from there. So that's the part that we picked,
Mm.
right? As this, we did it on purpose. But
Yes, we
yeah,
did it on
so
purpose. It's
that
funny.
whole collaborative vibe, I think that was really
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So
That
that was
was
something.
really fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and it was good times, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so that was the so for people that was the writing part and the recording. So we actually did that all in one go. And but then after that, there's and obviously there's the producing part. I mean, we kind of worked on that also together, right? Like in the moment, we kind of had the production done. But then is something called mixing and mastering. So if people
Oh,
don't
yeah, tell
know,
me.
mixing and mastering is the basically when we make a song, right? Obviously it's there and we record it, but it doesn't sound that good. And mixing mastering is the piece that makes it sound good. So that
It's like
means for
Photoshop.
people, yes, exactly. It's like Photoshop for
Photoshop for
music.
audio.
Ah, that's exactly the best way to describe it. So for mixing and mastering, I was like, firstly, okay, this type of music, it exists in Toronto, but it's not that common actually, right? Because Toronto, let's face it, it's definitely a very hip hop and R&B type of city, which is great. I mean, I love hip hop and R&B, but that also means in terms of finding the right engineer to mix a song like that, it's not necessarily going to be the easiest. So I kind of was like looking around and I was like, I don't know necessarily anyone really well, like personally, again, like an engineer that I connect with. Do I connect with you, right? Like as an artist
Mm,
who I
yeah.
can talk to and be like, yeah, let's do this. So I was like, okay, let me look to Fiverr again. I
That's so
found this guy from Italy to mix the song, and he is actually in some a rock band in Italy. And he did
that's
it, and
so
and
cool.
he did a fantastic job. And another thing too that I'll mention, a lot of the time when you get a song mixed and mastered, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, but for me, a lot of time, the first mix, I'm always dreading it because I'm like, and even if it's an amazing engineer, by the way, but I'm just like, I know that there's gonna be all kinds of things that are just not at all how I'm envisioning it, and that's fine. But then I have to like give millions of feedback to get it to where it has to be, right? And that's totally fine, but that's kind of how it is. And it's like a big brain exercise. But with this guy, the first mix could have been the final mix. It was
Oh,
really
for
good.
real? Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
right.
so
I
cool.
know. So, but yeah, how's your experience usually with that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I always feel bad because like I don't want to be mean, but at the same time I know what I want and I know what I don't
Yeah,
want. And so I have to be like I have to be really like, critical in the sense of like not critical as in like criticizing someone, but like critical as in just like critical of all the parts that I can hear.
yeah,
And I also tested on multiple different devices, like on speakers, on
Yeah,
headphones,
car, all that stuff.
yeah, car. So sometimes I'll get a mix that's not like the mastered mix. It's like
Mhm.
just the mix before mastering. So
Yep.
I try to be fair to that. But yeah, like the first mix is never the one that I end up going for. I've like almost never had that experience. Like it usually takes a few iterations to get to something I'm happy with.
Yeah.
And not just I'm happy with that, I just feel like competes to the standard of what you hear on Spotify and like from other artists. Cause I feel like for me, it's all algorithm based. So it's like I just want to make sure if I'm playing it back to back with another song in the references or another song that is similar in genre, I want it to like it just sounds smooth when going from one from the other.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't sound out of place, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
it is for me. But that's hard. So that's so crazy. Like
I know.
I didn't know that the first mix
I
was like
I was
chef's kiss.
really impressed because again, I mean,
Mhm.
at this point, we've both we've been in the game for a few years. We made a lot of music. It's very rare for me to like for me the base expectation is the first mix. It's gonna be good, but there will be like at least 5 or 6 major
Of
things that I'm
course.
kind of like the snare's too loud or something like that I want to change.
Yeah.
And there I was like, damn, this is actually really good. So fun fact also for people listening, this I was kind of like, oh, this is genius. For once I pat myself on the back, but I was like, I want this song to have a bit of a live feel. How do I do
Ah,
that? And
yes.
I told the guy something which in mixing it's very weird. A lot of engineers, if listening, they're gonna be like, what the hell? But I said, can you put reverb on the entire master file? So usually for people
Oh,
who don't know,
cool.
reverb, right, it's like an echo-ish type of effect. Well, it's not really echo, but it's like it makes it like have a deeper sound, let's say. You would put that just on a vocal or just on a guitar or something, but you don't put that on everything, including the drums. That's kind of weird, right? So it's kind of like breaking the rules. But I said, let's try because it might sound good.
That's
And
so
in the end, I think it,
cool.
it gave it that more, again, live feel, right?
Wow, that is so
So that was nice.
cool.
And I thought it
Like,
made a
as if
difference.
it's in a room,
Yes,
like, in a way, like, just like a little bit, like, very slightly, yeah?
exactly. Yeah.
Ah, so
That
cool.
was
I
pretty
didn't know
cool.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, so I guess so that was the music part, and then moving on to all the rest,
Oh my
where
gosh.
I stepped a lot out of my comfort zone, but you really were a massive help. Why don't you describe some of the start of that
Ah!
process?
Oh, no, you gotta start it off, though. You gotta start where do you
Okay,
wanna start off? Where do you wanna
okay.
start
Well, I
off?
guess figuring firstly the art. So,
Oh.
in terms of art, I was like, okay, we should make a photo, but also I don't know about you, but I have no money. So how do we do this with no money? And
Oh my
you were
gosh.
like, wait a second, that's no problem. I have an entire photo studio in my luggage. And then you proceeded to come to our apartment with like just massive suitcases with an entire photo studio in there.
Oh my god, I actually did. That's literally what happened. Oh my god. Okay, so for those of you watching, I've managed to accumulate photography things over the years, like a little bit. I am not a photographer. I just want to let you know. But it was
You take
always
good
with the
photos.
goal.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was always for the goal of like, as an artist, like you always need photos of yourself and it's expensive. Like I don't and I live in Brampton. I told you it was like a suburb outside of Toronto. So I don't it's like a huge effort to go and do a photo shoot with someone, right? So
Mhm.
I want if I need something like just like that, I've accumulated certain things. So basically what I have is I have this the backdrop stand package that has like a few backdrops in it like white, green screen and black and then it comes with two lights and just a backdrop stand, right? Pretty simple. And it's heavy though. And I have a tripod, a really old tripod. And I have a camera. So the camera was actually quite an investment. I've always had like a camera, but I never invested as much as I did last year on a camera because before it's like, yeah, I wanted it to be like YouTube quality. So I
Mhm.
started out on YouTube with like metal covers and stuff a long time ago. So before it was always like YouTube quality, right?
Right.
But then I did my first music video in the pandemic. I love it. Still really proud of it to this day. I have 2 music videos out there, but obviously music videos are really expensive. And I was talking to a friend, and he was telling me it's like one way to save a lot of money on music videos because honestly, you pay for location most of the time, but
Yeah.
also the gear. And it's like if you can have your own camera and just find a director and like pay them something for just like the shooting of it, you manage everything else from editing, blah blah blah. Blah.
Yep.
If you can learn all that, and if you can just have your equipment you can save so much. And I'm like, that is absolutely genius advice. And I really took it to heart. And especially as an artist, like knowing what I want my branding to look and feel like, every camera has a different feeling. Like the way it
Yeah.
takes photos, there's like different features, but there's also like a different aesthetic that you get out of it. Yeah, I'm a nerd. So I kind of went deep in this rabbit hole and I invested in a Fuji camera because that was the look and feel that I wanted for my brand. And so I brought my camera. I had a camera bag. I had brought like a few lenses that I'd collected because I wanted a certain aesthetic, and this giant, like you said, like a luggage of all
Everything.
this, just everything. And he was like, "But where are we gonna do this? But where are we gonna do this?" And I'm like, "Dude, can we do it in your living room?" And
Yeah.
he like, I don't think you had furniture at the time, right? Or
Yeah,
like you
no,
didn't
we
have the
yeah,
furniture you
we didn't
have
have all
now.
the furniture we have now, yeah. So we were like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess we have space right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and by the way, everyone watching, if you do have furniture, don't worry, you can just move it for the day and move it back.
Yes.
It's all good. But no, he didn't have it, so it was perfect. So I just brought it up. We like plugged into a certain outlet. I don't
The
know
other
much
outlet
about
didn't work.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other outlet didn't work. So we just kind of like winged it. I think we just used one light. And you have Shilpa,
Yeah.
your wife, right? And you also had Gotham,
Yeah.
who helped us. And at first they were just kind of like, how would you describe their contributions? It was like they were just
They were
like
just
at the beginning, they were just
chilling,
chilling.
kind of like, hey,
Yeah,
you know, like we're kind of here. And
yeah,
then we told Gotham, like, dude, just take the camera and just like try to take some photos to be. And he was
because
like,
we
how
both
do
need
you?
to be in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he takes great photos though, because
He
he's a
takes great
photographer too.
photos.
So then he was like, all right, I'll do it. And so I guess we started taking some photos, and we're kind of like, "Oh, like it's good, but we don't know for sure." And then Shilpa, my incredible wife, had this idea. She was like, "How about you guys just lie down on the floor?" And
Yeah,
then we were
she like
like,
shoot it from on top, and we're
"Yeah."
like,
And then
oh,
we're
let's
like, "What?
try.
Maybe
Like,
that's a good idea." And then we did
yeah.
that, and it was like, "Wow, this is the one." Like this is,
No, this was the one. Oh my god, they look
yeah,
so good. And then we
yeah,
even
yeah,
went outside, we took more photos, and we got like so
yeah,
much content from that. That was
yeah.
actually crazy.
That
Like,
was
and we did
insane.
use the backdrop stands, we did use the tripods, we used all of the stuff, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah. Another thing I want to add, because and I know you're so humble, so you're not going to mention it, so I will, is like having a good creative director makes all the difference.
Oh
So
my
when
god.
I was talking about me stepping out of my comfort zone, listen, I'm in this music thing because I love to do music. In terms of visuals, I love it's very interesting to me, but I don't have the visual brain the way I have a music brain, right? So, right after we'd made the song, I was kind of like, oh, we have a good song, but like, what the hell are we doing next?
Oh yeah, what are we
And
gonna
then
wear?
and then you're like, I have ideas, I have this and that. Let's have a black tie. Let's pierce the tie
Oh
with
my
some
god.
things. And I was like, listen, honestly, I was kind of like, this probably seems great, but I don't know. But I just defer to you
You we were
to
so
have idea.
skeptical.
I mean, I was kind of like, I just don't know how it's gonna look at the end, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you were
yeah.
like, don't trust me, it's gonna be great. So I was like, you know what? Like, I do trust you. So let's have you do
Oh,
it.
thank you for
And you came
trusting me.
with all these ideas, and it was actually so great, right?
Oh my god. Okay,
Yeah,
so I love styling. It's so fun. And honestly, when he told like when I was thinking it's like a pop punk song, we're both really feeling the song. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I want to tap in to that Y2K 2000s emo vibe." And then I was like looking at all pictures of like my favorite bands back then. And like from Fall Out Boy to MCR, there was always like the guy in like the dress shirt, like the
yeah,
like with the ties and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But I gave it a modern twist because I'm on Pinterest chronically, and I've been loving the like DIY like pins on bags and safety pins, and I was like, oh my god, I have hell. We can just get hella safety pins, and like, what if I just like yeah, like you said, pierce the
Pierce
tie
the tie,
and like
yeah.
add
And I was
some
kind of
random
like, no,
chains and
but
shit that I have. Yeah,
yeah,
so I did that. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty easy." I was trying to think also like what would he be comfortable in or what he might already have because I didn't want to like go buy outfits or anything.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
like we said earlier, we didn't have
yeah.
money
We have no
like
money.
that.
We are
Yeah, we had
artists.
no money. Yeah, we're artists. Okay, it's
Yeah,
not that we got a DIY to yeah to the
yeah,
moon. So I was like, oh, he probably has a dress shirt. Like just pick a color. Could be black, could be white. I felt like a lot of the emo bands back then did the white shirt thing. So I was like, you know what, let's do black. And then for me, like I have a plaid skirt. I just styled myself like I normally would, but I liked it. I was like, I think these go together well.
mhm.
With like a little bit of leather, a little bit of like edgy. I did like a little mini face tattoo situation with like
Oh yeah,
a
yeah, that was dope.
eyeliner.
Yeah,
Yeah, just to
yeah.
like add
And you
some
had the
edginess
snake.
to it.
Was it snake earrings? I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, you're right.
snakes.
I was
Yeah,
wearing
that
oh
was
my
pretty
god, I
cool.
can't find
Yeah.
them. But yes,
Oh,
I love them. I did like
yeah,
snake earrings. And
yeah.
so I went there and oh my gosh, tell me why after I pierce this tie and it looks really cool. He's like, "I'm not taking this off. I'm keeping it like this." Tell me why he tells me that's his wedding tie.
Yeah, I said it way after. I
You
was
said
like, oh
it
yeah,
like
by the way,
weeks after.
yeah, no, I think was that, I think I was gonna go to some event, and I was like, I wanted to use a black tie, but I can't. And oh, that was my wedding tie, and this is my only black tie, by the way, still to this day.
Oh my
So I'm gonna
god.
have to get another
I
one. That's
feel
fine.
so bad.
No, 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 it's fine. It's again, this is like a memorabilia, right? It's
It is
important to have
memorabilia.
these types of of items. But yeah, so anyway, totally stepped out of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad we did because in the end it looked great. By the way, when we posted that artwork, I had so many people messaging me. They were like, "Yo, this is so great!" And a lot of people were like, who's the creative director? Who can help me do something similar?" And I was like, "Yo, go talk to her because she thought of all the stuff. I don't know how to do any of
Oh
this."
my god.
So yeah, no, that
And
was
the
cool.
photoshopping was a really fun part. Like
Yeah.
one challenge I had with the photoshopping was so the white backdrop that came with my kit was actually a cloth, right? Like a giant cloth. And the thing with cloth versus like photography paper backdrops is that they're not smooth. They have crinkles, right? So the photo looked so good. Like we were both eating in that like photo, right? Like both look really good. But the crinkles kind of looked like off. So I
Yeah.
was like staring at this image in Photoshop and I was like, how the heck do I make this look cool? At first, I tried to like manually Photoshop out the crinkles to make it just plain white because
Hmm.
that would have been ideal for me. But then I was like, okay, I gave up. It was not looking natural at all. So I just found a random like paper texture, and then I like put it on top and I blended it, and then I manually masked out our skin and our body so that it didn't have the paper texture on us so much. And then for like the fonts, I tried so many different fonts and like
Gosh,
nothing was
yeah.
hitting. And I literally ended up like, I just chose a bunch of different fonts for each letter and I made a black box around each one with different shapes. I think using the path tool or something like that. And like I was just like staring at this cover art for hours. I'm like, I will get this. Like I was just, oh my
But
god, but it was really fun. I liked
you
it.
did amazing, and definitely for everyone listening, like I knew that Photoshop, is very sophisticated and you can do all kinds of things. But that one time when I think we're doing the finishing touches,
Mm.
and you came over again and you showed me on your computer like all the stuff you were doing, I was like, I didn't know that any of these functions even existed. Like that masking thing
Oh
and that
yeah, the
thing that you were
masking
doing
tools.
like just around us, like
Yeah.
whatever, like I don't even know what that was, but that would look really, really cool. And yeah, so Photoshop is really complicated. I had no idea that there was so much going into
Oh
that.
my
Now I understand
god.
why people, like really, get a photographer and pay an editor and
No,
all this kind of stuff.
100%,
Because
100%. Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it
It's
was like I thought that if a photo didn't look good, it was just because you took a photo and it just you didn't take it well. I didn't realize that it's because maybe the edit isn't like 10
Oh,
million
yeah.
hours of edits done
Yeah,
afterwards, right?
yeah,
I had
yeah,
no
yeah.
clue.
See,
So
that's why I said just like audio, like just like how mixing mastering is Photoshop for audio. I mean,
yeah,
hey, like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where that
yeah.
comes from, right?
No, it's
Like
insane. So anyway, that was one hell
cool.
of a process. But I
It's
guess
really
what we
fun.
can talk about afterwards is all the steps that go into the release strategy too, right? And I mean, remember all the things we put
Oh my
together.
gosh.
So
Yes.
first, firstly repurposing a lot of that content, right? So we
Yes.
asked Gotham and Shilpa while we were taking the pictures, like, yo, take some little videos or some things, right? Obviously, we used some of those for like some reels and stuff. Remember
Canvas as
how
well.
Canva, remember how we literally every day, I think I was posting something, and then the next day you were posting something,
Yes.
and then I was posting, right? What do you think of that kind of
I
cadence?
thought
Like,
that really helped a lot. Okay, I'm honestly of the opinion that like collaborations are just so powerful sometimes because
yeah,
it's really nice to have somebody to like think things through and to post with and stuff like that. But also it just helps remind people like more. And it because it's coming from different people, you're getting different perspectives as well. And you're
yeah,
both sharing an audience, right? When stuff like that happens. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that process was pretty effective for the marketing strategy. What did you think? Like, how did you feel like
yeah.
about
I mean, definitely what you just said of have it for me. It's like I'm so again as an artist, right? No, obviously everyone who listens cares a lot about our work, but obviously no one also cares more about your work than yourself, right? So because we spend day and night thinking about, okay, what's the strategy, what we're doing next. So it was nice to have someone who cares as much as me about my song in terms of, you know what I mean, in terms of how what's
yeah.
the best way to put it out, and then
Yeah.
the division of labor. So I thought that was great, like as an experience that was really awesome for me to be able to do
Yeah.
that. But then I guess also I think that we complement, like in terms of skills, we complement each other pretty well, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes.
you're
Yes.
so good at like all the visuals, creative directing kind of stuff, right? And I took on some of like like more like the PR almost aspects, right? Like the
Mhm,
writing,
mhm.
like the song story and
Yeah.
things
Which
like
you're
that.
really good at that. You have a
Thank
way
you.
with the words. Oh
Thank
my
you. I'm
gosh.
trying. I'm trying. I'm
Yes.
learning every day to
Really,
try and
really
do it
good.
better. But you know that kind of stuff, right? Like and then sending it out to like the
Yeah.
radios and stuff. Some of which were like, see, I think it's because
I
of the
know some
swearing. To be honest,
rejection.
no,
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's
The
yeah. See, this
swearing.
is another lesson for me. Is getting like a clean version for every song. But anyway, we live and learn, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know if it would have been different. I feel like they would have maybe said it, but maybe not.
I have a
So,
question for
yep.
you. Do you think that like when releasing a single, instead of just releasing a single like one song, you know how sometimes singles are grouped together and there's like
Yeah.
single, there's clean version, sped
Instrumental,
up, slow
clean.
down,
Yeah.
instrumental. Like, do you think
Yeah.
that's worth it? Can you speak to
Yes.
that a little bit?
Honestly,
I'm
I
curious.
regret. I think I mean, we have the sped up version now, which when we drop this, people will realize that it's there, or maybe they'll realize before. But yes, I don't see a problem. Like I don't see how doing that is not even beneficial rather than just doing a
Mm,
single, right? Like because you have more content for people who want a sped up version immediately. They get it. For people who want an
yeah.
instrumental, they get it. I saw was it Katy Perry? She dropped her new song. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like it, so I think it's still interesting to as a exercise, right, in the industry to look at. But she had like an instrumental version and an a cappella
Mhm.
version, but she gave it like even different names that goes into the world building, right?
Oh,
Where
yes,
one was
that's
like the
so
power
fun.
version, I think, and it's the version just with the vocals that seems more powerful. Then one was
Yeah.
like the whatever, the empty universe version, and it was the instrument. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Oh, that's so
That's
cute.
pretty
I
cool.
actually
Yeah,
love that.
I'm
That's
making
really
up the names.
cool.
I don't remember what she called it, but it was kind of like that. She didn't call it like
Oh.
instrumental, whatever, right?
Oh my gosh, I
So
feel so unoriginal for saying sped up version
it's
now.
no, 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 it's okay. But it's more just things for us to think about in general. Right? Like it's
Yeah.
nice in terms of world building, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's so
But I
true.
do see a benefit also to just doing it later, to let the
Mhm.
original version breathe first, right? Like
Yeah,
at
for
least
a
a couple
little bit.
weeks, and then later
Mhm.
dropping a pack with like five different versions if people want for
Oh, okay,
different
and but then it
aspects.
should be a pack type of thing, you
Yeah,
think?
that's what I'm thinking.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
So definitely
Yeah,
looking at that
yeah.
kind of stuff for some future things.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
was curious. I
Yeah.
was honestly curious because 'cause I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what was the better version. Like, I was wondering if people just do it one way or the other, if there's one that people prefer. Actually, if you're watching this right now, what do you prefer? Like, if someone
Yes.
just
Let us
released a
know.
single, like, what do you think is better? Like, what do you wanna see when you go there? Do you like having a little bit more to explore? Or would you rather just, "I just wanna hear this one song, that's it, the end, done."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's yeah. I feel like I don't remember where we are going with. Oh yes, we're complementing our skills. So yeah,
Yes.
so I think that made the experience also so much better
Mhm.
in terms of just being efficient too, right?
100%.
And yeah, I think we were able to action on most of what we were trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Shout out also to the media that showcased us, like thinking of Vanessa at Behind the
Yeah.
Beat,
Yes, Behind the
Asian
Beat, shout
Tones and
out.
Daily Music Spin, like
Asian
we really,
tones.
yes, like
Huge. Yes,
honestly,
yes, yes.
very very grateful for that, and all of this again I think was just great learning for us, right?
A lot of learning. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was honestly, like, so much fun to do too, and again, going back to the point of, like, it's really nice to collaborate with people you're actually friends with and people you have a good, like, relationship with and where you complement each other's, like, skill sets because, like, it just ends up feeling like a really exciting and fun thing that you're putting out to the world that's also productive and creative and like leaving a legacy
yes,
versus like like there's just so many other situations in which people release music and I just think this is one of the most rewarding aspects of it and people can feel that I think too they can
yes.
feel the authenticity of that for sure and
Oh yeah,
oh so something that I found kind of interesting was like when we first started putting it out we were very focused on like the storytelling of what the song is actually about, right? Like
yeah,
on what we were singing about with circles. But I realized that like after it was out for a while, I think there was something just about the sonic and the vibe, like the vibe of the whole thing. And also just the fact that being people of color making pop punk, I feel like that's
yeah,
something that really resonated. And I'm so glad that we did choose to do go with like a cover art that showed who we are
yes,
our skin tones, like,
yes,
like, just being that we're both people of color in the space and, like, what that represents because you really don't see a lot of that, and I feel like people were resonating with the, like, "Oh my gosh, they're just like me, and I love the same stuff." You like
yes. It
right?
gives
I
an
don't know, I
avenue
felt it
for
was like a
people to actually see, yeah, some representation. And you know what? That
mhm.
that may be part of why growing up, I never really kind of, even if I sonically like I heard it and I was like, oh, this is cool, but I never necessarily like went too deep into it. It's part of it is that also, right? Is that
Yeah,
I
that's
just
so
never
true.
I kind of always feel like it's not something necessarily where, I'd be accepted or that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I feel
Yeah.
you. Oh my God. I mean, this is like that's a whole conversation for another day, but I will say this one thing. I'll say that with my experience in like the metal community for like 10 years and being in the punk spaces and stuff, I felt like my motivation was because I didn't feel accepted, that I felt like I had to prove to everyone that I could take up space. I
Hmm.
was like, and you know what? That's exhausting. And I don't think everyone
Yeah.
should have to do like I don't think anyone should have to do that, and I don't feel like everyone should be motivated by that. It's just that for me, I was really tired of like racist stereotypes and people putting me in boxes, and it's like I like the same thing too. Like I want to take up space. Like for me it was just like, why do you keep saying that I can't pull that off? Like I used to always get, "Oh, I don't think you can pull off this look because,"
Hmm.
and it had to like it was like a lot
Wow.
of the time it came from like racism and stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yes, I can." Who told you that like a vampire can't have like a skin color? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
like just like stupid stuff like that.
Yes.
Like, right? And then even
Yeah.
just in the space, like all of the front, all of the front women, front men, like of these
Yeah.
metal bands, they all look the same. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not just the merch girl. I got that so much. Oh, are you the merch girl? No, I'm not. I'm
Wow.
in the band. I'm the singer. I'm here. I'm taking up space. This is me. I've been in this for so long. And so
Hmm.
I think there was a part of doing circles that like really not just resonated with me, but it kind of like brought me back to the time like, hey, look, I still am that. Like I still am taking up that space. And I feel like that's just powerful. And it's nice to do it in a new way because now obviously we
Yeah.
make more like pop R&B music and like other type of genres, and it was cool to tap into that energy, but
Hmm.
it's still a pop song. Like,
Yes.
like it's
Yes.
pop punk for a reason. Like it's not fully punk. It's not fully like in the absolute rock sense, like of the rock genre, but at the same time, it has enough of that mixed with what we do now, where it really feels truly authentic to what we
Yeah.
actually loved in that time in the 2000s and like what we do now. It's like the perfect blend of both worlds. So I'm
Yeah.
just like proud that we did that, and it's like cool.
Same.
So
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. Well,
But
thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. That's very powerful about the challenges you faced. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely feels like a full circle moment. Ha, circle,
Mhm.
circle. But
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
god.
wow. I didn't even plan that. That just came out. Um, but and I think one last thing I'd add to the whole topic of collaboration is I don't know about you. I'm sure this you probably had experience with that also, but sometimes, right, you kind of have that collaborative friction, and sometimes it's not very nice, and it almost makes you
Mhm.
not want to collab, right? Because it's like, if I tell this person that I want to do this project this type of way, they'll react badly or something, right? And part of that has to do with ego, right? A little bit. And I
Mm.
think what was so good about this project is that I thought we were very ego-less, where it was
Yes.
like, you know what, we can have obviously creative friction. It was like, oh, right, like I'd be like, oh, how about we do this, or like
Yeah.
I'm willing to fight over it or not, right? But
Oh,
it's like we can,
yeah.
right? But it's like we can
Yeah.
talk about it and laugh about it, and it's always with respect, and it's always
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
with the goal of having the best possible product.
Yeah.
It's not with
Like,
the goal of
yeah.
wanting it to be my idea and not yours type of thing,
Oh
right?
my
Which
gosh,
happens a
yes.
lot in
No,
collabs,
which
and
happens a
which makes
lot.
collabs really exhausting sometimes. So I thought that was really cool that we had that both
Yeah.
had that mindset, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's like we're trying
And
to get a good track. Yeah.
and also willing to compromise.
Yeah,
Willing to compromise.
exactly. Yes.
Which is funny.
Damn,
I
so
think
many
that's
puns
important.
today.
I
Yeah.
know there's so many puns. It's a full circle moment, and we were down to compromise. Oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
actually dead. I feel like every song I'm on has become a meme somehow. Like I don't know, frustrated. Like this
Yeah.
one. Like there's a lot of meme songs in here.
That's the way to go. Okay,
Yeah,
another
I
thing
know.
I want to quickly touch on is so after we did, put out the song and started the first steps of promoting, then we met up for more content, right?
Oh
Now, that was
yeah.
also one hell of a
Oh my
process.
god, that was so hard. Oh my god. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you talking about the GoPro
You
stuff?
told yeah, you go ahead. Tell us about the GoPro.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I got a GoPro and like I love it. I just think it fits the vibe sometimes, especially of stuff like this. And I used it in our first recording session, and I was like, oh, we could do a little mini visualizer. But okay, may have been a little ambitious for me because I'm like, I don't know. I think it's like mobile editors and like I don't know what it is, but it was a process. I was like so determined. I'm like, I want to try this. Like, let's like, I think we could get some really cool visuals. And honestly, we did.
We
We
did.
got a lot of like really good content from it that we used for like different reels and stuff and little moments. But I think the trying to make a full music video
It's
in
too
like
hard.
it was really difficult. Like the lighting
Yeah.
wasn't the best, and it was like
Yeah.
there was so much that happened during the filming process too, where we did it so many times. And then at one point, I ran into my friend on the streets of Toronto.
Oh
We were
yeah.
literally
Yo,
like,
that was crazy. That the world is so
so
small. That was
funny.
right in the middle of filming too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like singing like "Da-da," and I told myself this. Oh my god, hi!
You should
There's
actually
some
post
good
that as a
bloopers.
blooper.
I
Yeah.
know that should be a blooper to
Yeah.
go with it. That was hilarious. I
That
was
was
so
so
happy to see
funny.
him too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the world is small. So that was a
Yeah.
whole process. But we also just discovered some new tools. Like I know you didn't know CapCut, right?
Yeah. Yo, that changed my life so much. I don't have the words for it. So for everyone listening, if you've ever tried to make some reels, and if you've tried to edit the video within reels, stop immediately. Download CapCut, which is free, and it's gonna save you hours of time. I used to make reels on Reel, like edit them there and do the
Yeah.
caption on it and like write, the text and stuff.
Manually.
Bro, what a change of lifestyle that
Oh
CapCut
my
has given me
gosh.
now. So thank you
I
for
know.
that.
I'm
Yes.
so glad. That's so fun. I can't believe you're doing it just through Reels this
See,
whole
this
time. That's
this is why I
crazy.
hated doing visuals, is because I've been making my life so hard with tools that I
Yeah.
didn't know that we had better ones available, right? So
Oh my god, 100%.
yeah.
Although I will say for video editing, I do like not real editing, but like video editing where you're trying to do different clips and stuff and sync it to music. I
Yeah.
think desktop editors are still a little bit better. It's just such
Yeah.
a process because I
Yeah.
think the mobile ones are literally made for reels, like 30-second short
Hmm.
clips where you're not constantly cutting.
Yeah.
So if you have skills with like a desktop video editor, highly still recommend that because you can flip the ratios to be vertical for whatever you need and it can come out good. It's just a lot more work and a very consuming and but
Yeah.
it's worth it. So I have hiccups. But
No,
it's
that's
worth it.
okay. It is worth it. Yeah, no, that was a massive change. Another thing too, and this is again comfort zone thing. Like for me, I think you were more comfortable with it than I was. But being fearless of like, bro, we're being filmed. So if people don't know, I live like really, downtown area, right? Like and downtown Toronto. So firstly, Toronto's my favorite city in the world, right? If you didn't know, now you know. I love it with all my heart. I've lived here 11 years now, and I plan to live here much longer. But bro, downtown where we live, this area is not a joke area at all, right? There are a lot of suspect activities just going on all over the place. And so I guess we kind of blended in because we looked kind of crazy. But
We lo-
yeah, but just when you grow up, you're used to following the rules and stuff like that, and just being polite, and you know what society expects of you. It's very awkward to have like a speaker kind of blasting your song and just being like, it's like performing it like in the middle of the street and with random people walking past and looking at you like, what's going on, type of thing. So how did you deal with that? Because you were way better at it than
Oh
I
my
was honestly just like, I can't
gosh,
do this.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like it comes from just my experience like modeling and stuff like that because I've been in situations where I had to change in front of people because, like, you're on stage in like two
Mhm.
minutes, you have a different outfit now, get ready. And I'm like, oh my God, the heels, da 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 da. Who
Yeah.
cares? Everything is just coming out. I don't care if there's people around. I need to get on stage. So I've been in a lot of situations like that. So I feel like that has desensitized me. But also because I used to be goth, people used to stare at me
Oh
regardless.
yeah, golf. Oh my God. Yeah.
Like I was actually I know it's hard to believe right now. I swear, I
Yes.
promise you there are photos online. But I used to dress very weird and I like but in a good way, okay? I say weird in a good way. Weird
Right.
means good to me. But
Yeah.
like I used to just dress in a way that would really stand out and people would just stare like what does she wear? And I feel like since a young age I've been like desensitized to eyes on me. And
Mm.
so if I have to just get in the moment, I kind of like zone out. And so if you're a creator watching this and you want to like do something outside because it's cheaper and you want to like film your own content, whatever, just just dissociate a little bit. You know what I mean? Just like in that
Yeah.
moment, you just gotta like leave your body a little, just be in the moment. It's you and the camera. Okay. It's just you and the camera. There is no one else around you. And I feel like that works for me on stage too.
Yeah.
I just enter a zone and I feel like that's what helps me perform and like come alive. And then um as soon as you start noticing eyes or you start like paying attention, I feel like then it kind of throws you off and it becomes difficult. But
Yeah,
actually, I
me
will say you
too.
were pretty good at it though, because
I
I was watching
tried, but
the footage and you did really well.
I
Like it looked
tried,
cool.
but I
Like
couldn't, like, that disassociating experience you meant. I could not do it. Like, I was, remember when we were like near, I think, the Rabba, and there's this pizza shop, and all the people in the pizza shop, they were eating pizza and looking at it, and I was like, oh my god, this is like the most
yeah,
uncomfortable thing ever in the world,
I
right?
know
But yeah, I
people.
mean,
Yeah,
it didn't let it throw me off so much, but in my head, I was like, this is
yeah.
terrible.
No,
This
yeah,
is
you did it so well. You're like, this is
yeah,
terrible. You're like, ah,
yeah,
why are they watching me? Oh,
yeah,
also, you know what's interesting? If you're watching this, depending, I would love to hear your experience with that too, but also let us know what generation you're part of, because I kind of suspect that
yeah,
people that are part of like the TikTok generation, like people who grew up on TikTok and are like making content all the time, you're probably better at it than like I am and that we are, like,
yeah,
because you like there's so many like TikTok in public moments that I see, and I feel like some of y'all are fearless, and that would be so, I
yeah,
would love to get on that level, because there's so many times where I'm like, "Oh my god, this would look so cute," but I'm by myself and I feel really awkward filming myself right now. Because, like you
yeah.
said, as artists, we do so much by ourselves. I actually felt more comfortable because I was with you.
Yeah,
Like,
me
because
too.
we were doing it
Oh, I
together.
would never do this by myself.
That's what I'm saying!
Like, yo, imagine
Dude!
me like that down to, especially in that area, like in the middle of
Yeah!
like crackland,
Yeah.
like put the like this speaker down and just record by myself. Someone would steal the speaker probably and run away with it, right? So
That's what
yeah,
I
I would.
mean!
Yeah, no,
I just feel like some people are so good at that because they see content like that and they're just like, "Oh, I filmed this by myself," and I'm like,
I don't know how they
I
can do
don't
that.
know. How do you
Yeah,
do that? I mean, I want to do that. Like, it's effective, it's great, but if you can, but like, oh my
yeah,
god, it's hard. It's hard to do
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. No, that's
oh my
definitely very
gosh.
impressive. Okay, well, I guess for our last thing that I just want to talk about, the Circle sped up version. If you haven't
Yeah.
heard it yet, go
Go
listen to
listen to
it.
it.
Out now on every single platform, or all the
Dang.
main ones, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
yeah, hey, thanks for taking the time. This was fun.
Yeah, that was super fun. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, make content to the Circle sped up version too. I feel like it's such a vibe. We'd love to see it.
100%. And keep streaming. And
Yes, keep
oh,
it
wait,
streaming.
no. So, oh my God, last thing we have to mention. How did we not even say this? Okay,
What?
so Shilpa met with a friend the other day.
Oh
It's
my
a new
god!
friend. This is a real story, by the way, for everyone,
Discovery.
right?
Discovery
Yeah.
moment.
So a new friend that they met, and then they started just talking about music and like, oh, what are you listening to? And then this friend, she said, oh yeah, I've been listening to this song called Circles. And then Shilpa was like, oh, by Cashflow, and the girl was like, yeah. And we were like, no way.
Oh
So she
my
and we were working here at the time, so she
god!
brought her, and we met her in real time. And then
No,
I
it was
quizzed her.
so crazy. Oh
Yeah,
my
no.
god, dude, the craziest thing about this, there was like 2 things that really struck, well, 3 things that really struck me about this experience. One was the fact that Shilpa was just like, "Oh yeah, that's my husband." And then the
Yeah,
girl's like, "Wait, what? Like I got this recommended in my feed. What do you mean that's
yeah,
your husband?" Like
yeah,
she's like, "Yeah, that's my." That's crazy. Second of all, okay, I live in a suburb. I've mentioned this many times. I don't go downtown that frequent. Okay, I do go downtown a lot, but not like frequently enough that I just so happen to be in the house the
yeah,
when like Shilpa and the girl, they were like out and then they came over and then it was like I just happened to be there too. So this girl went from being like, "Oh, I listened to the song," and she's like, "Oh, that's my husband." And then she would go home and they were all hanging out and like
yeah,
the featured artist is also like you know what I mean?
yeah,
The other
yeah.
artist is also there at the same time. I'm like, that's crazy. What are the
Insane.
odds of me being there when that happened and then like us all meeting? But then
Insane.
what actually killed me though is that like you went into like I'm going to ask you about how you discovered it and how like
Yeah, the whole
you
user
went
experience journey. Yeah. If you want
yes,
to notice, I love product. I love understanding how,
he's
how the X, Y, Z, like how what the
he's low key
journey
a
looks like.
UX
Yeah.
researcher.
Yeah.
Like
Oh God.
the low key
Yeah. Yeah.
music UX
So yeah.
guru.
So yeah, I asked all the questions, and I hope I didn't scare her too much. But the reason I was bringing this up is, if you hear this episode or this podcast or whatever, this video, whatever we're doing, this conversation, definitely tell us how you're feeling about the music, because the truth is, not
We have
everyone
no idea.
tells, right? We don't know. We
Mhm.
put out a song, and then some people comment and like, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
But if you like the song on Spotify, or if you add it to your play, tell us, because we have no clue. We're just trying our best out here in
Yeah.
a vacuum, but we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and
Tell us,
also
'cause this
let us
makes
know
our
how
day.
you found it. That's
Yes, and
another
that
one.
too. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
if you found it in some cool way, like, you know how she was like, "Oh, it's just in my recommended." Like, let
Yeah.
us know. We wanna know, cause like, we don't see that. Like, we don't see unless they found it on, like, a big playlist or, like, something
Mhm.
else or have it in a public playlist of some sort or,
Yeah.
algorithmic, we don't really find out the exact version of it. So, yeah, let us know how you
Tell us.
discovered us. If it was on Instagram, it was YouTube, whatever channels you use. It's just really good to know, like, what's actually doing the thing and how we can connect and stuff. So yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Alrighty then. Well, this has been an awesome conversation.
Yes.
And yeah, let's put it out for the public ASAP. What do you think?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Think that sounds good. Yeah.
Coolio. Alrighty then. Thanks everyone for
Bye
listening, and
everyone.
we'll connect again with you soon.
Have a good one. Bye.